I played with Alexander Mogilny for a hot minute when he was in New Jersey. Yeah. I mean, but really, really quick. I mean, I was back in Alma and playing for the River.
Is there a story, though? Is there an Almo story, though?
I was not. I was living at the Turtlebrook Inn in West Orange. Alexander Mogilny was not hanging out around there. Didn't see him a whole ton, but he came down. We BS'd. I bitched to him a little bit. He didn't listen or really care. But I've heard he's a good guy.
Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. Baseball's in the books. We can actually finally start focusing on hockey again. How y'all doing, everybody? I'm James Cebulski, alongside the Calder Trophy winner, Andrew Raycroft, the Cup winner, Mike Commodore Kami. Oh, don't forget, we are on Apple, we are on Spotify, in addition to YouTube, and you can also follow along with all our social channels on TikTok, X, and Instagram. We got our Saturday night special we're going to get to in just a quick moment, but boys, I got to tell you, I mean, the entire country, that hurt seeing the Jays crash and burn like they did in game 6 and 7 at home. What a run, though. What a journey. What a ride. And I think a lot of livers needed that baseball season to come to an abrupt end, because the amount of friends and family members that were texting me that were, Kami, in your words, in one regularly throughout the entire month of October. There's a lot of beat up livers out there across Canada that we seem to be united as a nation again, Kami.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm down here right now in the States. I was at, for game 7, I went to this like sports book bar kind of here. And I will say the place was packed. Judging off the cheers, I would say it was about 80-20 Jays fans. And they were pounding. Yeah, no, like when the Jays scored, or like a good play for the Jays was way louder than the Dodgers. But yeah, and then you could hear a pin drop at the end. But yeah, that was, you know, it was an unbelievable World Series. I think that game 7 was probably, for lack of a better term, maybe the most interesting, and one of the, I can't remember ever watching a baseball game, or maybe any game, that had more like twists and turns. And
dude, benches cleared in a game 7 with a number 9 hitter getting plunked. Like that was everything.
Yeah, there was lots going on. But yeah, like that's gotta be, I mean, I feel bad for the Jays players. You know, and I don't want to name drop. I called George Brett today and George was cheering for the Jays. He hates the Dodgers.
Nice.
George was cheering for he was cheering for the Jays. I just asked for his opinion, and he was like, you know what? He goes, that's a tough one. He goes, I can't think of anything that I remember that would be much tougher. He goes, as bad as they feel, they had plenty of opportunities, you know, to finish it off. And the one I brought up to him, you know, that one guy's getting, people are like, he's going to say they're going to chop his legs off. The guy who, when he got thrown out at home there in the 9th or 10th. Yeah. So, and you look at his lead, well, it wasn't very big. And that was what the coaching staff said. But George said that he didn't, because I think it was that Varsho was up. And it was not to get into too much, but he didn't agree with having him there. He thought if the hitter was right-handed, he says, yeah, like you can't get doubled up at third, because then if the guy pulls the ball and it's a line drive. But George was like, as a lefty, I don't know if a lefty is going to hit the ball that hard down the third baseline very often. So anyways, it was a crazy game, crazy series. You can't get much closer than that without actually winning.
Razor, what about, were Bostonians cheering for the Jays, AL East rivals?
Yeah, everyone hates the Dodgers.
Yeah,
everyone hates the Dodgers.
That's true. Yeah,
everyone hates the Dodgers. So yeah, everyone was pulling for the Jays, kind of the plucky dog. Especially once Red Sox lost the Yankees, like they were all in on the Jays because the Jays beat the Yankees, and so yeah, everyone was loving the Jays.
Oh my God, especially after what Vladdy Guerrero and Big Papi are singing. Yankees lose. Right? I mean, that's how you endear yourself with the city of Boston. But a couple things I want to hit on. Look, here we go. The Clearing the Crease Saturday night special. You guys can't blame me on this one, okay? No. Finally, the monkey is off my back. The 1,800-ton gorilla. Yeah, it's off my back. Finally, I got a W. The first W of the season for me and it's the Sabres. Oh,
Buffalo comes
the
through
Buffalo
for you.
Sabres, baby.
Always
What a
bank on
weekend for
Buffalo.
So we
Yeah,
went
nice
1
pick.
and 2. It would have been, I'll tell you what, this would have paid out huge. I think it was plus 725 that it was looking at for a payout for our Saturday night special. Sabres came up short. Razor, you, where did you go again on Saturday? You had the Kings. Yeah, you had the Kings.
They outshot New Jersey in the first, but New Jersey pulled away 3-0, and then it was 4-1. And
then, Kami, you had Calgary, and
I had Calgary.
I was thinking of you, but yeah,
I didn't see the game. I didn't have the game here, but I knew about what time it was starting. I was like, oh, let me check my Flames. Come on, I knew it was sometime in the first or towards the end of the first period, 3-0 Nashville. I was like, oh. I'm like, I don't know what you guys did last night. Maybe, the Flames aren't very good, but, if you didn't go out, maybe next time you should go out. And if you did go out to Tootsie's and up and down Broadway last night, next time stay in your hotel. But they briefly, I saw via the box score, I saw they made it kind of a little bit. They made it 3-2 in the third period, and then that was it. So, yeah, I got a little, maybe not picking the Flames to win this year might not be a great plan.
Buddy, I was thinking of you when somebody had posted a clip on social media last night that I was scrolling through, and at one point there was a skirmish between the Predators and the Flames. I'm not sure which players said it, but all you could hear were the live microphones catching one of the Predators screaming, "You guys are a bleeping embarrassment this season."
This is coming from the Predators.
This is coming from the Predators.
The Preds were supposed to win the Stanley Cup this year. That guy should keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, that's a pot calling the kettle black right there. By the way, shout out to the Predators who got a hell of a lot of love from Saturday Night Live. Have you guys seen that sketch yet? That dropped? Oh my God. Basically the joke that everybody has made about the Predators, like that's a tough team name sometimes, right? Hey, what are you? I am a Predator. Oh, a Predator.
Okay.
So anyway, they're just long story short for anybody if you haven't seen it yet. They're basically recording these community service ads for the National Hockey League. So there's one guy in a Rangers jersey. I'm a Ranger. We're doing community initiatives, feeding the homeless. And then you got another character who's wearing an LA Kings jersey. He's like, I'm an LA King and we're doing work in the community as well. And then it's Miles Teller, who was hosting Saturday Night Live, wearing a Preds jersey. He's like, I'm a Predator and I like going to the hospitals and touching kids and making them feel good. And like, wait a minute, I can't say this. And
hockey mainstream.
Yeah, just hockey mainstream and all at the expense of the name Predators.
Even better.
There you go. Okay, so where are we going this week, boys? We're going to try to make some people some money. So the Clearing the Crease, the CTC Saturday Night Special. Kami, where are you kicking it off tonight?
You know what? I'm going to try and end this streak at 1. I'm going to go with my Canes. They're at home against Buffalo, which we record this week early. But, the Buffalo Sabres, as you know, C-Ball, are playing better. And the Hurricanes haven't been great as of late, but the Canes are at home. It's a Saturday night in Carolina. I'll stick with my guns. I'll go with the Canes.
Going with the Canes. Razor, I'm going with the Florida Panthers. I'm going back to the well for the champs. They got me burned the first time I tried it, but they're playing in San Jose. San Jose in action the night before, so I'm using the Razor rule on this one. Yep. Give me the champs to take care of the Sharks on Saturday.
I love it. So I went through the Friday night schedule. The only one I was kind of looking at, Rangers, Islanders. They both play Friday night, though, so that negates their game Saturday. So I'm not touching it. I'm going out west again. I'm taking the Columbus Blue Jackets to knock out the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday night. So I'll be in Canada. I'm going to be in Toronto for the night, so I figured I better get a Hockey Night in Canada special I can watch.
So there you go. So there's your Clearing the Crease Saturday night special for this Saturday, November the 8th. Columbus, Carolina, Florida, taking care of business and working overtime. There's your 3 winners for this weekend. Speaking of the Clearing the Crease podcast, we have another poker game coming up, another poker tournament. It's an opportunity for you to join us. It's coming up. We'll get greater details coming up in the weeks ahead. But here we are in the month of November. It's coming up November 25th, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Razor's playing, Kami's playing, I'm playing. You're invited. It's free to join. There's real money being paid out for this as well. It's free to register, sign up to play. Doesn't cost you anything, but you can walk away with some easy cash, and you can get bonus money if you make Razor fold them, if you make Commie fold them, if you make me fold them. We bust out. You get paid if you take us out. So that's coming up. The Clearing the Crease poker tournament, November 25th. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. We'll get further details about that coming up in the weeks ahead. But those are good times. We had a couple of them in the summer, boys, and Razor, you get aggressive out there. I like how you play.
Well, yeah. Well, especially when I feel like I'm on it. Like you get a couple hands, and I feel real. Like I have a hard time slow playing, which is probably the right thing to do when you get lucky early on and get a big chip load. Just kind of wait everybody out. But I have a hard time. I feel like I got to run with it. Like I feel like I'm at the blackjack table. When I'm there, I know if I'm hot at the blackjack, I am I'm cooking. Max limit. Poker, I guess, is a little different, but come get me. It's a blast. It's fun.
Tommy, you went right down to the wire last time too, right?
So easy.
Yeah, I finished second place in the first one. I got a little aggressive like Razor at the end, and I lost a hand that I thought I was going to win, and I was pissed off. And I had some other kind of hand. I can't remember. It wasn't great, but I thought it was good enough, and I got waxed. And when you finish in second place, you lose your chips, and immediately the screen closes. Like, that's it. There's no look at it. It's like all of a sudden you're gone. And then last time I think I got to the final table and got dusted early, but it's great. We've talked about it before, but it's a slick setup on there. It works well, and I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to that. So that's coming up November 25th in just a few weeks from now. So hopefully you'll join us. A lot of fun. And again, it's free. And you know who likes free? These three freaks here. So hopefully you like free too. Commie, I want to pick your brain because I was talking to a buddy back and forth after the series ended. And he was saying, I didn't feel the city of Toronto as energized as I thought it would be. Is what he was saying, and whether it was maybe a little tight or whatever the case. But, I think from your playing days, you won a cup in Carolina at home. You had a chance to close out in Calgary in 2004. And I'm curious, what is that like from a pressure standpoint when you have a chance to win a championship at home? Is it harder? I mean, everybody would tell you they'd rather be at home, but I don't know. I remember being in Calgary, and just as an outsider, as an observer, going in there as a media member, the city felt tight going in that day.
Yeah. You know what? I do think there is something to be said for, like, at the end of the day, you play hard in the regular season because you want home ice advantage or home field advantage in baseball, whatever. I think it matters, but I also could, if somebody brought up the argument that, hey, if you flipped it around, and the Jays have a chance to close, and they're going to LA. I could see the argument where it's hey, you're not at home. There's less distractions. You're at the hotel. You don't have as many people bugging. You got less things going on. Crowd's hating you anyways, so whatever. And there's something to be said for shutting people up as well. But yeah, for me, full disclosure, back in 2004, games 5, 6, and 7 was when I was back out of the lineup. Tony Libig came back in, but I was around the guys. And so the actual in-game stuff, I wasn't really a part of, but I guess I could see looking back once, I wouldn't say the guys were tight, but there was a sense of before, because we had game 6 at home, game 7 was out on the road. Game 6, we could have closed it out. And, there's the argument that maybe we did if there was some better cameras back then, but I could see the guys being just a little more, maybe just a little nervous. Hey, we're at home. People are fighting. We could actually, the Stanley Cup is in the building, and we could win it. I can speak a little bit more in Carolina because I was playing every game and I was playing a lot. I just remember we lost game 5 at home. We lost that in overtime, and that was our first chance to have it. And I know but it wasn't a huge deal. Then we got our doors blown off in Edmonton. It was we're going home. And I don't remember, with that team, I don't remember a whole lot of panic. And maybe it was because we had an older team than we did in Calgary, I guess, and maybe a little more playoff experience. But yeah, it's interesting. I guess at the end of the day, I would say it boils down to individual teams, but I can see kind of both sides of the argument as far as home and away and et cetera.
Yeah, no, I just remember, going into Raleigh for game 7 when you were playing for that against Edmonton. the city felt alive. Like there was an energy. There was a huge tailgate party going on in Raleigh. Like there was an energy there where Calgary felt there was such a quiet. Now it was almost like a calm before the storm. Like maybe the city was waiting to explode, but they just felt like there were just two completely different energies that I can recall from those two cities. And whether, it had been a drought at that point, it had only been about 11 years since a Canadian team had last won a Stanley Cup. Now we're talking 30 plus, which is kind of crazy. Or as Razor, you like to say, banana land. Can you ever think of an experience trying to close anything out like to that high a level, even when, from a junior standpoint, Razor, or anything?
Well, I lost game 7 at home in Boston against Montreal.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the pressure was so much more. And just to go, like, I wanted to make sure I just looking it up because so the 06 Oilers lost on the road. Then the 09 Penguins won on the road in game 7. The Bruins, of course, won in Vancouver. And 19 St. Louis won in Boston. So, and then 24 Edmonton lost in Florida. So only the Oilers have lost since 2000 in the NHL in the game 7. So the 3-2, but it's the Oilers that are the 2 road losses. I think there's a lot to be said for it. If you go all the way back through history, game 7s are about 500, but of course there were so many game 7s where the home team was just the better team early in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You use Winnipeg, for instance, last year they were at home and they snuck through by the skin of the ass.
Yeah.
Barely. But they were by far the better team, they were the President's Trophy winners. So I think the numbers suggest that it's just harder to close out at home. Like Kami just went through the list. There's just so much more that you feel can go wrong. You feel like on the road that there's nothing to lose. You just have a different, easier mentality.
Well, and probably family there too, guys. When you're at home, I'm sure there's more, right, Kami? I mean, you can speak to that.
Well, I can sort of speak to that. I mean, in 04 and 06, I'm pretty much running the same program now. I was, wasn't married, didn't have any kids, but I could see, the other guys, you have kids around and your family's around and, and not just that. I was saying Carolina, I mean, we had aunts around, uncles around us. So there would have been, some of these households would have been packed with people. So I'm sure for those guys, like, everybody loves their family. You want, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they don't. But like that would have taken a little like, hey, for me personally, when I got back before that game 7, I'm like, I'm going to do things exactly how I did them this year. And I'm going to go out like my same routine. And I'm like, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging. I'm going to play as best and do as much for my game that I can. And I'm going down swinging. But I do think like the less distractions you have, the better, for sure.
Well, and to that point, like I remember as a reporter for the Canucks years back, the organization offered hotel rooms to guys for home games during the postseason. And I'm sure a lot of other organizations have done that as well over the years, right? Just to kind of help reduce those distractions where, those with families, right? Just, hey, look, I'm going to focus on the game. I'm going to stay here tonight. And just, there's a lot riding on this. So, anyway,
I'd like to squeeze this in too, and I'll speak for the guys that were married. And I never think to give shout out to wives because I've never been married. But you know what? They would come in as a big part of that too. Like as far as families coming in, like let her take care of it. She's got things organized. She's getting people to the rink, so that would be a huge part of it, I would think.
Dave Roberts was pretty quick to give a shout out to the manager of the LA Dodgers, to all the wives and the girlfriends, just basically saying, hey, look, you're a big part of the organization as well. So, kind of further to that point there that you were talking about, Kami. So there you go. There's some of the pros and the cons to trying to close out a championship at home, or maybe it is better at times. It's such a flip of the coin, but there's the pros and the cons to everything. Hockey Hall of Fame inductees going in for Razor. You're going to Toronto, as you touched on. You'll be there taking part and checking out all the festivities. This year's class: Jennifer Botterill, Big Z, Zdeno Chara, or Big Z up here in Canada, Zdeno Chara, Brianna Decker, Duncan Keith, Alexander Mogilny, Elmo going in, Jumbo Joe Thornton, along with builders Jack Parker and Danielle Sauvageau. A lot of names, some serious legends, some players that you guys both played with and against. Razor, is there a story that comes to mind for any of these inductees for you?
Well, Jumbo's the big one for me, of course. See, that's the guy I have the best personal relationship with. I see Z all the time now. Our kids are at the rink, but I never played with him, so it's a little different with Z. I mean, I guess Jumbo, right? Everybody talks about just who he is and what he is, and that's what he was all the way from the beginning. Always the happy-go-lucky guy. I think the other side you see when you play with Joe or you get to know him is just how competitive he was too, though, and how he really didn't go along with mediocrity. He pushed everybody in his own little way, but just like the best person ever, he was like a big brother for me. To be an 18-year-old kid coming to the Boston Bruins, while Joe was just 19, but it felt like he was like 28 to me. He helped me right from the first training camp. Never stayed in a hotel in training camp. Always got me into his apartment. Always had me going and hanging out with him, and him and his family took care of me. So he's the best and as deserving as anyone to be in that Hall of Fame.
He was that guy. Like, it's funny because I don't know. Do you think maybe some of just all the years in San Jose was sort of the anonymity in some respects? Like, obviously the Sharks were great for all those years, but
yeah.
Do you think he doesn't probably get the full flowers compared to some players because of the anonymity? I think he almost kind of came across that sort of laid back California guy where you talk about that he had that sort of, he pushed guys, but you just didn't really see it on the superficial level.
And he stayed away from that as well. He loved San Jose because he could not have to do that. I mean, there was issues in Boston as a captain that there was criticism because he didn't want to deal with a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think at the end of the, when he was with Team Canada, he loved being there because he was the third guy, the fourth guy, the fifth guy, and it just, I think he chose to miss the spotlight in those respects.
Well, I would say this as a reporter, like more times than not, like Joe was always nice to talk to, but that guy avoided. Yes, exactly. Like he never ever wanted to talk. Like and very very personable guy, but just never really wanted to get in front of the cameras. And I wonder if to not get the flowers. And a lot of guys are understated in the hockey world, but I do wonder if, by playing in San Jose and kind of staying out of the spotlight for a lot of those prime years, he maybe doesn't get, look, the numbers are there, but I don't know if he gets his full flowers because he wasn't a flamboyant personality.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Kami, what about you? Who's the person that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, this year's class, I'd never played with any of them and don't really know any of them great. I would say, obviously, played against all of them. I talked about their hockey, but they're in the Hall of Fame, so we know they're all really good. Only personal experience, I played with Alexander Mogilny for a hot minute when he was in New Jersey. Yeah. But really, really quick. I was back in Alma playing for the River.
Is there a story, though? Is there an Almo story, though?
I was not. I was living at the Turtlebrook Inn in West Orange. Alexander Mogilny was not hanging out around there. And I honestly, I think I played, it couldn't have been more than 1 or 2 games. It wasn't much. So no, I don't have, he seemed like a nice guy. We chatted a couple times and I was like, oh man, Mogilny, this is great. But no, he was I guess it would be the president or hockey operations of Admiral Vladivostok for the year I was there. So I did see him every once in a while there. Didn't see him a whole ton, but he came down. We BS'd. I bitched to him a little bit. He didn't listen or really care. But yeah, I've heard he's a good guy. And the only guy I would say, the guy I know best out of all of them would be Duncan Keith. Met him a couple of times in the Okanagan. Heard a lot about him in Chicago. Like I said, was an excellent defenseman. And what I had always heard, I guess my one kind of story with him is I always heard he was a really good guy, but like he was very into fitness, but like into like trying like new things, if that makes sense. So yeah, my most time I spent with him, was during COVID. So he was with the Oilers. I spent when it first hit, I went down to Penticton. He has a place just right 20 minutes up on the lake. And so he went over there for a beer or whatever. It was just me and him. And so we're hanging out and having a few beers, and he gave me a little like tour of his house, his lake house. And I will say that guy, I'm taking a guess at it here, but that guy, I loved hockey and working at it. I mean, he had the sport court with, shooting pucks relentlessly, and he did it all the time. He had some kind of oxygen tank in the garage. That's where his gym was. And his gym, it was just basically, or his garage was a gym. But I can't remember exactly what it was like. Basically, he was doing like his own VO2 tests at home, which to me, I'm like, man, that sounds crazy. Like, I do those things one time at camp if I have to, and don't ever make me do that again. But anyways, I think it would be fair to say some people think he was maybe a little bit weird in the way that he worked, I would say, maybe a little bit to some people, but a hell of a player, and it definitely worked for him.
Oh, I mean, what a career! 3 Stanley Cups, great run. You touch on Alexander Mogilny. What a fascinating player, and a guy that totally had an on and off switch. I think if you talk to anybody who played with him, right, when the Given-ish meter was on, he was as good as it got. Fascinating story, even just getting into the National Hockey League. And I mean, he could score, and a very complete player when he wanted to be. I always think back, Razor, I don't know if you ever crossed paths with Mark Slavin, the late Mark Slavy, who was around the Canucks a lot as an equipment guy, as an equipment rep years back. But I remember during the lockout in 2005, he was in Toronto with Alexander Mogilny. We went out, and I think Almo was dealing with a bad hip at the time, or a bad knee, but he put on about 30 or 40 pounds during the lockout. You know how like the veteran players really got out of shape during that period? Razor, you went to Finland. These guys just got out of shape. And I just remember Almo, he had us howling, just sitting down, having drinks, telling stories. I mean, he talked about how his career was over. He was done. There was no more playing. And he came back. Like that guy could barely walk. We were sitting in the Royal York Hotel lobby bar, and he could barely walk. And here he would fast forward to a year later, and there he was grinding and playing again after the lockout. And funny guy. And when I think of Chara, we brought up this story before, but I just think just how big he was the night he ragdolled Brian McCabe in Toronto with that Sens and Leafs. I mean, Brian McCabe was a big guy. You know what I mean? Razor, you could speak
he's
to
not
this.
small.
He's not a small guy, and Caber was hanging on for dear freaking life when Chara snapped, and he just throwing him around like he was a Cabbage Patch Kid or something. It was crazy how big Chara was, and I mean, there's legendary stories about that guy's fitness that I'm sure you've seen firsthand there in Boston, Razor.
Yeah. Go ahead, Razor. I have one that I didn't see, but somebody told me. So you go ahead, Razor. But you probably. When it comes to Zdeno Chara, obviously, played against him a bunch. One of the years that Chuck Kobasu was playing for the Boston Bruins, Chuck and I have remained friends to this day, played with Chuck in Calgary and in St. John's. We were talking at camp, and I was talking to Chuck on the phone. He goes, "You won't believe this." He goes, the pull-up test? I'm like, yeah, I always say I have a bad neck, so I don't have to do any. Because I honestly don't think I could do maybe one pull-up if I could get the floor a little bit. I could maybe do one at my peak. Long arms, heavy. He's like, Mike, I just watched Zdeno Chara. What is he, 6'7", 260, 250, something in there? I mean, long arms. I just watched Zdeno Chara do 33 pull-ups, strict pull-ups, palms out. I'll get my hand, palms out to the floor, full extension above the bar. I'm like, 33? He's like, 33. I'm like, I don't think I ever went near him ever again. Like, nope. No, thank you.
That's the most banana thing ever. It is. There's nothing matches that in the history of NHL testing. Nothing matches his 33 pull-ups. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's wild. 33. I mean, to do even one.
Like, I'd be interested to see what it like NBA, like an NBA player that if you get one that's like about his size, what they could like. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else comes close.
No.
Anyway,
no chance.
No.
Unless the bar is 5 feet, and then you're just,
Yeah. Well, then I could do a bunch of pull-ups.
You do a whole lot
every
of them,
year. I'm like, my neck's sore. I don't know. I can't. I got a neck problem. Oh, okay. Thanks.
I gotta sit this one out, guys. You guys go on without me. Yeah. Dodgy hip again.
Yeah.
Let's get into Don't Puck It Up. Speaking of Don't Puck It Up, my neck again here. Who wants to go? I'll tell you what, here, why don't I kick this off? Don't Puck It Up. How about Macklin Celebrini and Hockey Canada? Man, Macklin, come on, little West Coast love, off to a great start in San Jose. Look, the Sharks aren't there yet, but it is going in the right direction. They're a fun team to watch. Celebrini taking big steps this year, and I have to think that the little rub that he got playing with Crosby in the spring at the World certainly helped. Look, Hockey Canada dropped the ball going back to the 2006 Olympics in Turin when they decided to run it back with the older roster from Salt Lake. They left a young Sidney Crosby parked at home, and I think it really cost them as they struggled to find offense that time. I think Celebrini would be a great fit for Team Canada if he can keep things going. Look, he's got to keep it going. He'd be a nice offensive piece for Team Canada in 2026. Keep it going. Near the top scorers in the league right now. Macklin Celebrini, don't puck it up.
It's going to be fun to debate that over the next 6 weeks. So we're right in the wheelhouse for Team US. We're going to have to do the Team USA, the Team Canada, the Team Sweden show. Those are coming down the pipe, folks. Don't puck it up, NHL. The games are getting too long. We need to find a way to shorten the games a little bit. I have been at a few marathons here in the past couple of weeks. Hopefully it's early in the season. Hopefully it's younger referees. Hopefully maybe it's just a little bit more goal scoring. But I'm a little concerned that we're starting to push 3-hour hockey games, which should never in a million years happen. My one bold move, we're not ready yet for that, but this isn't the time to debate this. I'm throwing this out there. We can talk about it at another time, but moving an icing call can only happen inside your own blue line. The amount of icings I see getting taken in the neutral zone, just inside of the red line, when guys are trying to make a pass or make a play or dumping it in, the game's fast enough now that a guy 2 feet short of a red line, we might be time to push it back. That might be a play that is useful in the NHL.
So instead of the red line being it, it's back to the blue.
Correct. You can only ice it if you're in your own zone.
Okay. I never thought of that. That's interesting.
There's a lot of icings.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Pick it up.
Light icings. Yeah.
For my don't puck it up, we talked about a lot today. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays pucked it up, but it was a hell of a World Series. They pucked it up. I mean, look, it was a great ride. I'd say it's been quite a while, I would say, for me. I used to watch a bunch of baseball, kind of fell out of it. Usually watch the playoffs, but it's been a while since I've sat there and made a point to watch the World Series. The games were excellent. They pucked it up, but at the end of the day, it was a hell of a run. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. Don't puck this up moving forward. I don't know whose contracts are up or what they have going or who's in the minors. I have no idea. I'm not in their front office, but let's not come out next year and finish last in the American Least. Let's keep this momentum going and see if we can keep moving forward and see what happens next year.
Yes, let's hope it's here for a good time, not just a short term. Let's make this sustainable. Yes.
Yeah. Be a threat for a few years.
Yes. Yeah. Don't puck it up, Blue Jays. You captured the hearts of millions of Canadians, so keep the good times going. And you know what? I'd like to keep the good times going, but on this note, we're going to bring this one to an end. Just a reminder, your Saturday night special from the Clearing the Crease podcast. One more time. Razors going with Columbus. Kami likes Carolina, and I'm liking the Panthers. We'll get the numbers set for you later this week, and you get a chance to play on BODOG and a chance to play the CTC Saturday night special and make you some money. Don't forget the Clearing the Crease podcast poker tournament also coming up November 25th. More details on that coming up a little later on. Congratulations to all the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees going in next weekend. For Kami, for Razor, I'm Seaball. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by your friends and ours, BODOG. See ya.